The moment you enter the ocean, you're no longer at the top of the food chain. You can't see them. You can't hear them, but they already know you're there. And if they decide to come closer, you won't even notice until it's too late. Before we go deeper, subscribe now because what you're about to learn will completely change how you see sharks forever. For decades, sharks have been portrayed as mindless killers, bloodthirsty monsters, cold-blooded hunters, creatures that attack without warning. Movies made us fear them. Stories exaggerated them. But the truth is far more disturbing. Because sharks are not chaotic. They are precise. Every movement they make is calculated. Every turn, every shift in depth, every moment of stillness. They conserve energy. They wait. They observe. And when the moment is right, they strike with absolute efficiency. But here's what most people don't understand. Sharks don't need to hunt often. A single successful hunt can sustain them for days, sometimes weeks, which means most of the time, they are not hunting, they are watching. And that changes how you should think about them. Because if a shark is near you, it's not desperate, it's not panicking, it's choosing. Sharks have existed for over 400 million years. They survived mass extinctions. They survived climate shifts. They survived changes that wiped out nearly everything else. That's not luck. That's perfection. Their bodies are engineered for survival. A skeleton made of cartilage, lighter and faster than bone. Skin covered in dermal denticles, reducing drag like advanced technology. Muscles built for explosive bursts of speed. But none of that is the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part is what they can feel. Sharks don't just see or smell, they sense electricity. Every living creature emits tiny electrical signals, from the beating of a heart, from the contraction of muscles. To us, it's invisible. To a shark, it's a signal, a map. Even in complete darkness, even in murky water, even if you stay completely still, a shark can still detect you because your body betrays you. Now imagine this, you're floating in the ocean, calm, quiet, you look around, nothing. But somewhere below, a shark already knows exactly where you are. Not approximately, exactly. And yet, most of the time, nothing happens, which leads to the biggest question. If sharks are so efficient, so aware, so perfectly designed, why don't they attack more often? The answer reveals something unexpected. Sharks are not hunting humans. We are not part of their natural diet. We don't move like their prey. We don't behave like seals or fish. To a shark, we are confusing, which is why many encounters end without incident. But when attacks do happen, they are often not what people think. They are not always intentional hunts. They are tests, a single bite, a moment of evaluation, and then the shark lets go. But that one moment is enough, because sharks are not built to hesitate. Their bite force can exceed 1.8 tons of pressure. Their teeth are designed to slice, tear, and replace themselves endlessly. They don't need a second chance. But here's the most dangerous truth of all. The greatest threat is not the shark you see. It's the one you don't, because sharks don't chase like in movies. They don't circle dramatically. They don't warn you. They rise from below, from darkness, from silence, from a blind spot your eyes will never cover. And when they strike, it happens faster than your brain can react. No fear, no preparation, just impact. But not all sharks hunt the same way. Some rely on speed. Some rely on stealth. Some rely on patience so extreme at one. They can wait motionless for the perfect moment. And some species behave in ways that almost feel intelligent. Which raises a deeper question. Are sharks really just instinct-driven predators? Or is there something more behind their behavior? In the next part, we'll break down the different types of shark and reveal which ones are actually the most dangerous to humans. Not all sharks are the same. Some are harmless, some will ignore you completely, and some should never be underestimated. If you're still watching, subscribe now because what you're about to learn could change the way you see the ocean forever. Out of more than 500 species of sharks, Only a few are considered dangerous to humans, but those few are responsible for nearly all recorded attacks. And at the top of that list is the one you already know, the great white shark. Massive, powerful, silent. It doesn't just hunt, it ambushes. Great whites attack from below, using the light above to hide their silhouette. To their prey, they are invisible, and when they strike, it's explosive. They can launch their entire body out of the water, a technique known as breaching. This isn't random, it's precision. They calculate distance, speed, angle, and then commit. But even the great white is not always the most unpredictable. That title often goes to the bull shark. Bull sharks are different. They are aggressive, territorial, and unlike most sharks, they don't need the ocean. Bull sharks can swim in freshwater, rivers, lakes, even murky, shallow environments, which means they can appear where you least expect them. Visibility is low, water is dark, and in those conditions, their confidence increases. They don't rely on sight, they rely on instinct and proximity. This is why bull sharks are considered one of the most dangerous species on Earth. Not because they are the biggest, but because they are the least predictable. Then there's the tiger shark, often called the garbage can of the ocean. But that nickname is misleading. Tiger sharks are not careless, they are opportunistic. They will eat almost anything: fish, turtles, birds, even objects that don't belong in the ocean. But that doesn't make them stupid, it makes them curious. And curiosity can be dangerous because a tiger shark might approach something unfamiliar just to test it, and that test is a bite. Unlike great whites, which rely on ambush, tiger sharks patrol, slow, confident, unafraid. They don't rush, they don't panic, they investigate. And if something feels like food, they act. But here's what makes all of these sharks truly dangerous. Not their husks, not their teeth, their timing. Because sharks don't attack randomly. They choose moments. Moments when visibility is low, moments when prey is distracted, moments when escape is unlikely. Dawn, dusk, murky water. These are the conditions where sharks are most active, or aren't they? Not because they are reckless, but because they are efficient. And this leads to a critical misunderstanding. Most people think sharks are always hunting, always aggressive, always searching for prey. But in reality, sharks are selective. They don't waste energy. They don't chase without purpose. They wait. And when the right moment appears, they act with overwhelming force. But here's something even more unsettling. Sharks are not the only predators using these strategies. In fact, some creatures are doing it better, smarter, more coordinated. Which brings us back to a terrifying idea. What happens when a predator that already dominates the ocean encounters something even more advanced? Something that doesn't rely only on instinct, but on intelligence? In the next part, we'll reveal real shark attack patterns and what actually happens in the seconds before strike. Most people think a shark attack is sudden, random, chaotic, unpredictable, but that's not how it really happens. If you're still watching, subscribe now because what you're about to learn might be the most important thing you'll ever know about sharks. Because every shark attack has a pattern, a sequence, a moment before everything changes. And once you understand it, you'll never see the ocean the same way again. It always starts with observation. The shark doesn't rush in, it doesn't strike immediately. It watches from below, from a distance, studying movement. To the shark, everything is data. The way you move your arms, the rhythm of your legs, the way light reflects off your body. It's not just looking, it's analyzing. And at this stage, you don't even know it's there. That's the first danger, because the most critical moment is the one you never feel. Then comes the approach, slow, silent, controlled. The shark doesn't swim directly toward you. It circles, but not like in the movies. Not wide, dramatic circles. Tight, subtle, almost invisible. Each pass bringing it closer. Each movement reducing distance. Testing. At this point, something strange can happen. People who survive shark encounters often describe a feeling, a sudden unease, like being watched. No sound, no warning, just instinct. And sometimes that instinct is right. Now the shark makes a decision. Is this prey or not? And that decision is made in seconds because sharks don't hesitate. They commit. And when they do, everything accelerates. The shark drops lower, disappears into darkness, positioning itself for the perfect angle. Because sharks don't attack head-on. They attack from below, where you cannot see them, where the surface light blinds you. And in that moment, you are exposed, completely. Then comes the strike. Explosive. A burst of speed that can exceed 40 kilometers per hour, 25 miles per hour. From stillness to impact. In less than a second, no warning, no buildup, just force. Most victims don't even see the shark. They feel it. A sudden udar, a pull, a shock so intense, the brain struggles to process it. And then, silence. But here's the part that most people don't understand. Many sharks don't continue the attack. They bite once and release. Because they are not always hunting humans. They are testing, and once they realize, you are not their usual prey, Mom, they leave. But that single moment is enough because sharks are not built for small damage. Their bite is designed to end the encounter immediately, and that's what makes them so dangerous. Not aggression, efficiency, but here's where it gets even more unsettling. Some attacks don't follow this pattern. Some sharks return, circle again, strike again, and those cases are far more dangerous because it means one thing. The shark has made a different decision. Not curiosity, but intent, which raises a terrifying question. What makes a shark choose differently? Why do some encounters end and others escalate? In the next part, we'll break down what actually triggers shark attacks and the exact conditions that make them more likely. Sharks don't attack randomly. They don't hunt out of anger. They don't chase without reason. Every attack has a trigger. Subscribe now because what you're about to learn could be the difference between danger and survival. Most people imagine sharks as unpredictable killers, but in reality, they are highly selective, which means if a shark decides to attack, something made that decision easier. And once you understand those triggers, you start to see patterns. The first and most important trigger, low visibility, murky water, early morning, late evening. These are the moments sharks prefer, not because they are hiding, but because you are vulnerable. In low visibility, you can't see them, but they can still sense you through movement, through electrical signals, which means the advantage is completely one-sided. The second trigger, erratic movement, fast splashing, uncontrolled kicking, sudden changes in direction. To a shark, this looks like injured prey. And injured prey is the easiest target because it's slower, weaker, easier to catch. This doesn't mean sharks are aggressive. It means they are efficient. They choose what requires the least energy. And chaos looks easy. The third trigger, isolation. Being alone in the water increases risk, not because sharks prefer humans, but because isolated targets are easier to approach. There's less noise, less confusion, less resistance. Groups create unpredictability. A single individual does not. The fourth trigger, contrast. Shiny objects, bright colors, high contrast against the water. These can attract attention because they reflect light. And in the ocean, light means movement. Movement means life. And life means potential food. The fifth trigger, time. Sharks are more active during dawn and dusk. These are known as feeding windows, moments when prey is active and visibility is low, a perfect combination. Now here's where everything connects. A typical dangerous scenario looks like this. Low visibility, alone in the water, moving unpredictably at the wrong time of day. To a shark, this is not a mystery, it's an opportunity. And once that opportunity is recognized, the process begins. Observation, approach, decision, strike. But here's the most important thing. Most of these triggers are not about sharks. They are about perception, how the shark sees you. Because in most cases, you are not the target. You are being misidentified. And that's what makes shark encounters so unpredictable. Not because sharks are random, but because their interpretation can be wrong. Now here's the unsettling truth. Even if you remove all triggers, even if you stay calm, even if you do everything right, you are still in their environment. And in that environment, they are always in control. But understanding these triggers changes something important. It turns fear into awareness. Because the ocean is not chaotic. It follows rules. And sharks follow those rules perfectly. In the final part, we'll answer the biggest question. Are sharks truly dangerous to humans? Or is our fear completely misunderstood? For years, we've been told one thing: sharks are dangerous, sharks are killers, sharks are something to fear. But what if that's not the full story? Before we finish, subscribe now, because what you're about to hear might completely change how you see the ocean and your place in it. Every year, millions of people enter the ocean, swimming, surfing, diving, and out of all those millions, only a tiny number ever encounter a shark. Even fewer are attacked, and even fewer are killed. Now compare that to something else. Humans kill over 100 million sharks every single year. For food, for fins, for profit. Let that sink in. The animal we fear is actually the one being hunted. Not occasionally, not rarely, but on a massive scale, which creates a powerful question. Who is the real threat? Because sharks don't hunt humans. They don't track us. They don't seek us out. They don't migrate toward us. We enter their world, and sometimes we are misunderstood. That's the reality behind most attacks. Not intention, but confusion. A surfer from below can look like a seal. A swimmer splashing can look like injured prey. And in that brief moment of misinterpretation, the shark acts, not out of malice, but instinct. And once it realizes the mistake, it often leaves. But by then, it's already too late. This is what makes sharks so misunderstood. They are not villains. They are not monsters. They are survivors, perfectly adapted to an environment we barely understand. But here's where things become even more important. Because sharks are not just predators. They are essential. They regulate ecosystems. They control populations. They maintain balance. Remove sharks, and the ocean begins to collapse. Not immediately, but gradually. Fish populations explode or disappear. Food chains break. Entire marine systems shift. And once that balance is lost, it's incredibly difficult to restore, which means protecting sharks is not just about saving one species. It's about preserving the ocean itself. But fear changes perception, and perception drives action. If people fear sharks, they justify killing them. If people understand sharks, they protect them. And that's the turning point. Because the truth is not simple. Sharks are dangerous, but not in the way we've been taught. They are not mindless killers. They are calculated, selective, efficient, and most of the time, they choose not to attack, which means every encounter is not just a moment of danger. It's a moment of decision on both sides. So the next time you look at the ocean, don't just see fear, see reality. A world where you are not in control, a world where survival follows rules older than humanity itself, and a world where one of the most feared creatures is not your enemy, but a misunderstood guardian of balance. Because in the end, the ocean doesn't belong to us, and it never did. If this changed your perspective, subscribe, because here we uncover the truths about nature that most people never hear.